Overwatch 2 retail patch notes, July 11th, 2023. Summer Games 2023. It's time for some fun in the sun with the Summer Games seasonal event. Log in and play Lucio Ball Remix, and the all-new Winston's Beach Volleyball. We'll be playing that today. Plus, score big with the new cosmetic rewards, including the new epic skin for Doomfist, which we just saw a little bit of that, right? All right, cool. General updates. On fire adjustments. Fixed a bug that caused players to gain on fire at the start of a new round in competitive play when playing any game mode or in quick play when playing control. First of all, clearly wasn't a bug because I was just on fire at the beginning of every game in between halftime. But, you know, I'm sure I'll still be on fire between that. That's a good bug fix. On fire and blazing are more difficult to attain early in a round. On fire's cooldown reduced to 3 seconds. This should prevent most of the cases where a hero gained on fire with a delay after a positive contribution. On fire score decays slightly more quickly when a hero is not on fire, and maintaining on fire for long periods of time is more difficult. I go back to what I just said about the other thing. You know what? I like these changes because it's looking at like, okay, it was too easy to get on fire. Why not make some slight adjustments? See how it feels. See if it feels more epic to get the on fire. I go back to like those quality of life changes that games will have. These are one of them. And making adjustments and not just leaving it there. Or like, we've seen times where like something will be made and then it just gets left there, right? Nothing else changes about it. So to actually like adjust the on fire and all that, well, why not, right? Why not? All right. New event hub, a new centralized location for event information is now available from the main menu where all event challenges, rewards, and modes are listed here. I like that. Once again, I like that. Good change to add to the game. Why not? Makes it a little bit easier. Competitive updates. Team Q. I'm excited for this. So, multiple reasons. One, I get to play with my friends to try and test this out. Two, I'm thinking of doing maybe like a fun video on my YouTube where basically we'll get like 4 bronzes or 4 golds or 4 silvers or 1 of each rank, and then we'll go queue up for Team Q, right? I think it'd be kind of fun. I can in-game lead, have a good time with it. I know we had a video like that a while back people enjoyed. Why not? Seems like it'd be a fun video on top of that, right? In my opinion, that could be a fun video. So there's that. All right? Players can group. Okay, so the Team Q is an all-new competitive mode for Overwatch 2, requiring everyone to play in a full group of 5 players. Team Q has no ranking restrictions and will be available through the end of Season 5. Other important rules to the mode are players can group up regardless of how far apart they are in rank. Grandmaster players can play even with up to 4 other Grandmaster players. Team Q is limited to 1 tank, 2 offense, 2 support. This is just role queue. Players do not queue for specific roles, instead choosing their roles within each match. So you just queue up, and then when you queue into the game, you can then decide what you want to play. So you don't queue for a specific role. You just queue in, and then you can play whatever you want at that point. Once again, talking about that, I like that. I think that's going to be a good idea. Platform pool restrictions remain, meaning players on console must still only group up with other players on console, not those on PC. Now, I've talked about this. I feel like this would be a good opportunity to test that. Obviously, I know I have talked about it quite a bit where like it'd be a really cool idea because at that point, if you're 5 stacking, you're choosing like what team you're queuing with at that point, right? So my mindset on this is why not allow that? Because you're choosing to create your 5 stack, right? That is your 5 stack that you're creating. So it's not like you're like, oh, we'll get into a game and then you get like, I think it would be good to have that at one point, at least in my opinion. All right. Hero updates. So this is hero updates would be mid-season balance changes across the board, etc. If you're wondering what that is. So we will read the hero updates. Orisa! Developer comments. We are increasing the effectiveness of Fortify to make Orisa a stronger counter against team compositions that lean on crowd control. Damage reduction increased from 40 to 50%. Why? I only asked that. The win rate. It must be the win rate. No, I'm betting Orisa has like a low win rate because I feel like Orisa's pretty good right now. And like, it almost feels like, I don't know, maybe I haven't played enough Orisa. It just feels like, and we even saw Orisa being played during the World Cup, which I know is like a little bit different, like, you know, top 500, like, scrims, matches, OWL players, etc. So that they're going to play to like the absolute, like the best. But I'm very surprised by that. That was not what I expected. All right, we have Ramatra. So I imagine Ramatra nerf because we've seen that with World Cup stuff. All right. Ravenous Vortex. The projectile now passes through enemy heroes, but is still blocked by barriers. So is this a buff to Vortex? Developer comments. Sometimes the Ravenous Vortex projectile hits an enemy and bounces off unpredictably, delaying its activation. This quality of life change improves the ability's consistency and makes it easier to use against groups of enemies without fear of accidental collisions. Yeah, I like this, though. Honestly, like, I'm going to be honest with you, chat. I know we're sitting here kind of like, oh, like a buff. What is this? Why a buff? Why a buff? Can I be honest with you, chat? I actually think it's a good change. I think that can be a frustrating experience when you're playing Ramatra and like having your projectile just bounce off of a wall and or like miss because like one person there. I actually think like this is actually a good change. Even though like there could be arguments about whether or not Ramatra should be buffed or nerfed, I actually think this is a good change. I'm gonna be honest with you. I think this is just a good change. And, like, it's just a good addition. It makes it a little bit... It's just good to have that. If I had to look at it that way. All right, Reinhardt. Maximum... Oh, the barrier field, the shield, maximum health increase from 1,200 to 400. Huh. All right, we'll talk about that in a minute. Developer comments. We are increasing Reinhardt's barrier uptime to help him better protect his allies. We'll be keeping an eye on this as we want to avoid situations where players feel like they're always shooting at barriers. All right, so let's talk about this for a second. Before I go into like a deep discussion or like we sit here and go, oh, shields are going to be up more frequently. I'm in this spot right now where I don't think it will be that bad with having 1,200 HP to 1,400. And what I mean by that is, with there being one less tank now, there's a lot less focus happening on a second tank or other heroes behind you, et cetera, et cetera. So, like, while there is concern here about shields being up more frequently, and they even mentioned that they'll look into it to make sure that isn't happening, I don't think this is going to be the same case of, like, shooting shields. Overwatch 1 ran into an issue where it was a rotation of cooldowns. It was like a giant rotation. Like, you had to get through this cooldown, this cooldown, this cooldown, which made the shields feel infinite because not only did you have shields, you had other cooldowns. An example would be like a Sigma Orisa rotation, right? Orisa shield into gold, into a Sigma shield, into eat, back to Orisa shield, etc. This is a little bit different. So I'm really curious to see what this change will do because normally what they do is they just give Reinhardt 25 extra armor. Reinhardt goes to like a 65% win rate, 60% win rate, dominates, they nerf Rein, right? So this is a different approach to buffing Rein. Whether it's going to be good or bad, I could not tell you. This will allow for the Reinhardts in the chat who are forced to play Rein sometimes to stand there with their shield and say hello to everybody. So we at least have that going there now, right? So this is helpful. This is very helpful to the Reinhardts that like to just stand there with their shield and let their shield break. Which, honestly, a lot of Reinhardts do that. And when I play Reinhardt, to give you an idea, when I play Rein, most Reins are playing chess. I'm playing Connect 4 at that point. So I get it. We'll see how it goes. I'm not entirely sure. All right, Wrecking Ball. Quad cannons. Manual reload time reduced from 2 to 1.6 seconds. This does not affect the automatic reload while transformed into a ball, which is still 2 seconds. Developer comments. Wrecking Ball rarely reloads his quad cannons manually due to the automatic reload that triggers while transformed into a ball. This change makes reloading without changing forms a more viable option. I actually like that. Just talk about that very quickly. I actually like that. And I'll explain why. This gives you kind of like that decision-making you have to make. Like before, it'd be you just go into ball form every time to reload. Now it's like, well, technically, if you stay out of ball form, you'll reload quicker, but then the trade-off is you're out of ball form. So this allows for you to reload a little bit quicker, but then you also have a decision to make. Like sometimes you might be like, okay, I can't reload quicker now. I need to go into Wrecking Ball and make that play, right? Is it like, oh, this is going to make Wrecking Ball OP? No, not really. I don't think it's going to affect too much, but I think it adds a little bit of decision-making onto how you're going to do your reload. Not bad. I do think you'll have a little bit more uptime on damage now from Wrecking Ball, especially if you're trying to get somebody in front of you, because you reload quicker, obviously, but the changes like this are okay, right? They're okay. And honestly, changes like this are really easy to revert or nerf if it ends up being ridiculous for some reason, right? Like both these Rein changes and Wrecking Ball changes are changes that if they become too OP, they're so easy to nerf, right? And you just go back to where the heroes are right now, which the heroes are in an okay spot to begin with. So, anyway. Damage. Oh, here we go. I am very... Oh, do I see Soldier 76? Oh, I'm excited now. I see Soldier 76. And you know I like to play Soldier. I am very curious on this one now. We're gonna start with Sojourn here. Okay, Sojourn. Railgun. Number of shots to reach maximum spread increased from 8 to 12, and spread reduced by 12%. So I'll explain what this means, because we explained this a little bit with Lifeweaver, where Lifeweaver went from 0 to 20 bullets. What this means is there's a maximum spread, right? The way spread works is it's kind of all over the place. You'll go in game and you'll see what I'm talking about. Shoot a wall, your bullets go everywhere. But as your shots start, there's more of a laser to it, where it's like very, very, very accurate. So what this does now, this is a buff, by the way, to the person saying a nerf. This is a buff. Now your maximum, it takes up to 12 shots for your maximum spread to hit. So now you have about 4 extra bullets where it's a little bit more accurate, and you could get more value. Spread reduced means that spread that you have now is going to be reduced by 12%. Does this make Sojourn better? Yes. Straight up. How good this will make Sojourn, I don't know. Obviously, for anybody who's been playing since the beginning of Overwatch 2, you remember the back and forth of like Sojourn being so strong. My guess is Sojourn won't be as strong, but I would not doubt it if you start seeing pocketed Sojourns again dominate, because especially with the recent changes to Hanzo and Widow, yet to be seen. We'll know more going into the next few weeks. Developer comments, we are decreasing the overall spread on the railgun primary fire to help Sojourn build energy more consistently. The increased shots before reaching a maximum spread will give players more direct control over aim at the projectiles when firing in short bursts. My concern is that this will make the hero very good again, but I want to see how it plays out, because it still doesn't make it. I think Sojourn still will be pretty good, not as like top tier. Soldier 76. I see 3 buffs. Okay. So if anybody doesn't know, Soldier 76 is like my go-to DPS hero. I can play Soldier fairly well. Heavy pulse rifle. Damage increased from 18 to 19. I want to talk about this for a second. So normally what they do, this is the Soldier buffs they do. Damage increased from 18 to 20. They do it every time. What happens? Soldier becomes too OP. They nerf Soldier back down to 18 damage. Rinse and repeat. Soldier gets stuck in like this rotation of like nerfs and buffs where Soldier goes from way too good to you do a bunch of damage and you finish with 4 limbs. So now, instead of 18 to 20, going to 18 to 19. Helix rockets, explosion damage increased from 80 to 90. Now your Helix rockets go from 80 to 90. So not only do you have increased damage on your pulse rifle, you now have 10 more damage across the board. So this also increases the damage, right? This also increases the damage on Soldier 76. So overall, this is going to make Soldier 76 a lot better. Now, still, my take on this is, well, it's a wait and see, because they're still one-shot heroes, and they're trying to find a sweet spot for Soldier 76, where Soldier 76, they want you to be able to play Soldier 76 like you go and play like Ashe right now, or you can go and play Sojourn, etc., right? Like, they want to make it so you're not an absolute must-pick, but you aren't just sitting there doing, listen, be honest with me, chat. How often are you playing Soldier 76 and you finish the game with 14,000 damage and 8 limbs? Right? You just can't finish the limbs half the time. Like you said never? Oh, sorry, my bad. 2,000 damage, 0 limbs. You know what I mean, though? It feels like... Yes? Oh, it's my bad. Okay, that's a lot better. All right. Not bad. And then healing per second increased from 35 to 40. All right? So, I mean, that changed... I mean, listen, whatever. We can meme about healing station giving me ult charge now, right? If you're not hitting your shots, at least you can heal in station. Developer comments. One of Soldier 76's strengths is a reliable damage output, but it hasn't quite been effective enough after his last round of changes. We'd like to avoid going all the way back up to 20. It's funny they mentioned that, because I was just saying about the 18 to 20 damage thing. It's always been 20 damage, Soldier's way too OP, 18 damage, Soldier just kind of does damage but doesn't do damage. Forget Ellipse. All the way back up to 20 damage on his primary fire, since it has proven too powerful in the past. So instead, we're adjusting both primary and secondary fire damage slightly. He will also be able to stay in the fight longer, and support his team more effectively with extra healing from the biotic field. First of all, we know nobody is sitting there healing their teammates, right? We know that ain't happening. That's not happening. All right, first of all, you're using that solo on like the side in like a 1v1. All right, now, we heard about Symmetra changes. All right? We heard about Symmetra changes. On to Symmetra. All right. Let's see how this goes. Photon Projector. Secondary fire maximum impact damage increased from 45 to 50, so it does more damage now. Secondary fire maximum explosion damage increased from 45 to 50, so it looks like you do more with explosion and more with the right click in general. Sentry turret. Damage per second reduced from 40 to 25. Okay, that's a lot. That's good, because Symmetra turrets were tough to go against. To give you an idea, if each Symmetra turret was up, that'd be 3 Symmetra turrets doing 120 damage per second. Now it's down to 75, essentially, right? That's a lot of damage. That's a lot less damage and more time to react. And we all know, nobody in your game is shooting Sim turrets. Unless it's you. And you know what? You probably have the same mindset as your teammates, which is what? Somebody else will take care of that. I'm going to keep pushing forward. Then you all die to Sim turrets and go, shoot the Sim turrets. And then you go, why don't you shoot them? Because I don't want to. And then everybody doesn't shoot them. So this is a good change. It gives you more time. All right? Turrets now reveal enemy heroes to allies while dealing damage and for 1 additional second afterwards. Why? Wait, what? I want to see how it is. I want to see how that is. I say why to that, but we'll see how it goes, all right? We'll just see how it goes. I'm not even gonna, because here's the thing. It could be amazing. It could be really bad. It could be, I don't know. I have no clue. I will say this. If you're playing against a Hanzo Symmetra, though, you're going to have a good time. I guess you could go Pharah, though. The argument will be you can go Pharah. But listen, I'm going to be on Soldier 76 doing 10 limbs now per game instead of 8 because of the increased damage. So what are you going to do about that? All right? I think the idea is more along the lines of giving some value. And like, here's the idea. This is why they're doing this. They want to give utility to TORB and SYM. They talked about that, right? Obviously, we have a TORB change coming up here too soon. They want to make it more about utility, not as like a main, like you're going to dominate with that. So that's why they're buffing stuff. Anyway, developer comments. Symmetra is exceptionally map dependent to the point where she is oppressive in certain situations, yet ineffectual in others. An example of that would be like Junkertown, not as good. I guess maybe okay on Junkertown at certain points. Maybe on King's Row can dominate. I don't know the exact maps. I mean, Koth maps, of course. The following changes increase her weapon effectiveness while lessening some of the frustrations caused by her turrets. The Photon Projector primary fire is now an even more pointed counter against certain heroes due to its conditional shield health regeneration, and the secondary fire now takes 1 less fully charged projectile to eliminate most heroes. Symmetra's turrets are especially powerful when focusing on the same target due to their combined total damage output, coupled with their slowing effect. We are lowering their raw damage and angling them towards utility to make spreading them out a more viable option. Exactly pretty much what I expected here. Basically what they're trying to do is saying, like, don't stack your sim turrets, maybe you can get more value. That's the idea. That's the idea. TORB! Rivet Gun! Secondary fire spread reduced from 5 to 4.5 degrees. So if anyone doesn't know what that means, so the degrees on TORB's secondary fire was at 5 degrees, and now it's at 4.5 degrees. So if you... Yeah, I know what that means by the spread. I have no idea what 0.5 degrees does in difference on that one. I know it's better, but I couldn't tell you what that looks like in game, right? I couldn't tell you what that looks like in game, all right? I'm going to be real with you. Basically, you're going to have a tighter spread on that, which means you're going to be a little more accurate on the right click, just to summarize that. All right, deploy turret. Damage reduced from 14 to 11. Oh, for anybody who plays TORB, they're not going to be happy about this. For everybody else who plays against a TORB turret, oh, thank you. Less damage. Less damage, thank you. Cooldown increased from 10 to 12 seconds, which means that when you destroy the TORB turret now, there's a longer cooldown on it. What is this, though? This is interesting. Overload now reloads 6 ammo on use. So wait a second. So if you use overload, you get 6 ammo back immediately. So say you right-click somebody. Say you're right-clicking somebody and then you overload, you have 6 more ammo. So that's what? Like, is that 3 more shots or 2 more shots? I don't know how much right-click costs. Or you have just 6 more shots in general. So when you use overload now, overload gives you more value. So you get 2 more shots with a right-click, or you get 6 more shots if you're just left-clicking. So this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to take away some of the damage output from TORB's turrets and SYM's turrets and add utility to them, or make them just not as strong. Developer comment: TORB's turret has a bit too much impact for a little investment. So we are shifting some of its power to the rest of his kit to reward more accurate gunplay. Overload now partially reloads ammo, which guarantees that there is no downtime between activating the ability and shooting projectiles. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to be real with y'all. I have no idea how this is going to play out, but this is going to be interesting. This is going to be very, very, very interesting. All right. Support! Kiriko! Also, chat, I see Zenyatta here, and we read in the blog post, we got Zenyatta nerfs, or Zenyatta Discord orb nerfs. Kiriko, heal and Afuda. Recovery reduced from 1 to 0.9 seconds. That's a buff, right? That's a buff, yeah. Originally, we increased the Ofuda recovery time to promote more kunai usage between heal and bursts. Despite that benefit, we are partially reverting that change so the primary fire feels more responsive in situations where Kiriko is pressured to focus entirely on healing. You know, let me talk about this for a second. I'm going to talk about this for a second. I think that... If you have a Kiriko in your game right now and you have like a Kiriko Lucio or like a Kiriko Brig, there definitely feels like times where Kiriko isn't able to keep up with the heals as much. So it sounds like what they're trying to do is just make it a little bit better here. That's pretty much what it sounds like. I don't think this is going to be like huge, but I think it's like, it makes sense as to why they're doing that. It really just feels like it's just to help a little bit. All right, chat. Zenyatta! Orb of Discord. Maximum range reduced from 40 to 30 meters. Time to wear off target when not in line of sight reduced from 2 to 1.5 seconds. Okay, chat. Doesn't this make it seem like now it's just going to go on the tank automatically? Doesn't this feel like it's automatically going to shift to the tank? Even more so? Which has been a kind of the reason on that one, like... Because you're not going to be able to Discord anybody behind the tank at 40 meters. I mean, like, I'll show you the difference here in a minute in game. So the combination of these changes will make it riskier to Zenyatta to apply Discord and increase counterplay for the affected target. I get what they're saying with that. First of all, I want to talk about a positive about this patch note. 2 things. 1, time to wear off to 1.5 seconds. Good change. That change alone I like because it allows you, for most heroes, to back away from that and get back into the team fight quicker. All right? My concern with this is that tanks are still going to struggle against Discord Orb. I guess the good news is they're making changes to Discord Orb now, but I feel like this will probably default the Discord Orb on tanks even more now, which will run into the same issue of that increased damage on tanks, will make it difficult for tanks. But I guess we'll see. It just feels like tanks will still struggle against Discord Orb. What I would like to see in chat, tell me, type 1 in the chat if you like this, 2 if you don't. What if they now took Discord Orb, applied the same thing they did with Sleep? But chat, why are we typing 2 already? I haven't even got to what I was gonna say. Why are we typing 2? I was gonna come up with an idea. If they added it to the passive tank. So, like, it would be like 15% on tank or something, kind of like they did with Ana Sleep. You know what I mean? So, like, it would basically be, they apply that same thing to Discord Orb like they would with the Ana Sleep, which is 3.5 seconds now on a tank, 5 seconds on other heroes. Same thing with tank to this, like the passive. Use the tank passive to adjust that if they don't want to change the damage. Anyway, here we go. Anyway, that's what I think should happen with that. Granted, it depends who you ask. If somebody's playing support, we'll probably see some 2. If you're a tank player, you'll probably see some 1. If you're a DPS player, you're probably already playing Soldier 76 right now in your ranked games, healing your teammates with Healing Station. Am I right? All right. Here we go. Now bug fixes. Also, remember chat, and I do see everybody in talk chat too. That was actually, I was surprised at how many people were in the talk chat watching that. That was actually unreal. There are drops right now. If you come by Twitch right now, we do have drops. Battle Pass tier skips. Just saying. All right? So we're live also on Twitch. So those are the balance changes. All right? Those are the balance changes. And follow on the talk too. All right? Anyway. Ping system. Just a bunch of bug fixes to ping system. Listen, Gavin, if you're in the chat, I would love to go through all of these, but I am sure these are great changes. So there's just some ping system fixes here. Just basically it helps with like fixed pinging. I'll read this one. Fixed pinging opponents' owned objectives through walls of Sombra. I like that. That's a good change. That's a good one. Fixed cases where Dark Queen's knife would remain pingable if she died. I've seen that before. I mean, it doesn't really affect it. Fixed Lifeweaver pedal platform pings using ping systems. Fixed cases where the ping stems would be used incorrectly on midair. Okay, I get what that's saying. Fixed training bots blocking the ability to share your ultimate status. I'm really upset about that one. Fixed D.Va incorrectly given her ultimate status for call mech instead of self-destruct. Yeah, I get what you're saying. That's a good one. Other bug fixes, just like the unranked map load-in, selecting the no title option. Okay, people have been asking about that one. You can now select no title. Fix an issue with Quest Watch background being incorrectly placed. Fixed a bug with the role mastery challenge not appearing to the end of the flow. Fix an issue where hero icons are missing from 21.9. Fix an issue with the resultant in career profiles of friends sometimes appearing blank or missing items. No, like when you look at Meme Machine's profile, when it says 0 wins, it is 0 wins. So maybe they thought it was a bug. Fix mystery hero reports lacking information. Fixed a bug in the options menu where values such as 100% were cut off for some languages, and then fixed several crashes. So normal stuff in that one. Pretty much a bunch of lighting changes on maps. So just basically they just fixed a bunch of stuff with that. Hero fixes. Aim sight animation for Ashe. Immortality field not protected May for a small window of time after cryo freeze. Cassidy. Just a bug with... Oh, good news, chat. They fixed a bug with Cassidy where now it will make sure that it will hinder you during Exo Boost and Mercy's Valkyrie and or Sigma's ultimate. So if you were concerned on Mercy that you weren't getting hindered, they've now went and fixed that for you. You'll be getting hindered right now from Cassidy. I know a lot of people coming to chat saying, "Hey, I've been playing Mercy and I'm not getting hindered as much." I hope they fix that. So now you will get hindered more when you're playing Mercy, just so you know. Echo. Fix the condition where Echo would fail to play any voice lines after duplicating a hero. Thank you. I've been having issues with hearing voice lines in general. Fix an interaction with Lifeweaver Pedal's platform that's just a Junkrat. Okay, I get what you're saying. Kiriko, fix the melee animation not playing if you use after protection Suzu. So I know chat is going to talk about the Kiriko here. I did have an interview with Jared last week talking about this. The fix to Kiriko was a lot more difficult than they expected. They're currently working on the TP bug to fix that. They basically have to. It sounds like they have to like redo the whole thing, or rewrite it. Is what I understood. So like they're fixing that. It's just not ready yet. They know it exists. They know what's gonna. They're fixing it. And the reason why you're not seeing it in the bug fixes is because it's just not ready yet. But they are fixing it. It is a known issue that's being fixed. So he basically, if I recall correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, he basically said they kept trying to do like fixes they thought would work to it, and then they just didn't work the way they thought they would work, which has caused issues with it. So now they have to redo it. So now in the future they won't have issues with that type of whole like. I imagine there's probably other heroes involved with that. So like it was shared with something. Now they have to separate it. Does that make sense? And like I said, I don't understand how that works. I think it was shared with something, and now they have to remove it from being shared with something else, and then create something new for it. So that way it's separate, like a separate like thing from that. I could be wrong on how I understood that, but I think that's how I understood. Okay, anyway. Fixed a bug with Lifeweaver's hero icon challenge is not correctly progressing. I mean, honestly, I don't even know if I got those in Lifeweaver. The pedal that prevented jump boost from being applied when jumping. That makes sense. Fixed a bug that gave Lifeweaver high damage mitigation numbers for environmental limbs. You get that for when you pull your teammates off the map? All right, so basically just stuff there. Overheating, Ramattra, Reaper, just a bunch of... I'm not seeing anything else here. I'm just looking. A bunch of bug fixes, but I just don't see anything else here that would... primary fire, not having priority over a pendant hack. So yeah. That's it. That's the patch notes. So... there's your patches, the Season 5 one. If you missed any of this, we'll be posting this on my second YouTube in a second. I guess this is a good time to tell people if you're on my YouTube right now, watching it from my YouTube, to sub to the YouTubes. And drops are live now. So if you come to my stream, we'll be streaming a lot during drops on Twitch. All right.